Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studio. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Chip Hayner's here. Smoking Jim Frazier was just talking to us about his betting debacle on the Super Bowl. Like I said, if you're not going to bet, don't start. If you're going to listen to Smoking Jim, do the opposite. You would have cleaned up. But that's another story. We've got lots of sports for you folks. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park and all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. We appreciate you. Thanks for all the Facebook likes. 6,854 likes on the page. We appreciate that. I got a few more promos here to show. We'll see if they got this camera ready for me. First one up, there it is. Thanks, Devin Shea. He's back in business this week.
Back in the saddle.
412-831-1900. Give Hillcrest a call. Matter of fact, we had a new person cut our hoagie this week, Chip. Lauren did a great job. No fingers, 6 cuts.
There you go.
And she cut that pizza. Gave an extra cut in there for Smoking Jim Frazier. Thanks to Lauren. Her dad's a big sports guy. He might be watching our show. But she cut our pizza and hoagie. First time I saw her and first time she was there. So great job. That's 412-831-1900. Thanks to Frank Fanera, Olive Oils Pizzeria and more at Hillcrest. Next up we have Joey Fabus, Childhood Cancer Foundation. It's Joey before DIPG, after DIPG, the brain cancer that took his life 4 years ago. And they've raised all kind of money. Matter of fact, they had an event, a girls' basketball game at the high school, Bethel Park High School. I think they pulled in over $2,300 to donate to the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate all the good stuff you guys do for it. They've collected over $100,000 to try to find a cure for DIPG. Next, the Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. That has that trolley up there on 2600 South Park Road. Check it out. They do a lot of great events up there. Smoking Jim doesn't believe there's a Hall of Fame in Bethel Park, but there was. 2 friends of mine, Jim Gaskeb and Tim Mowry, were put in it. It's all true, folks. Just don't ask Smoking Jim about it. That's the Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. I'm not trying to pick on Smoking Jim. He just makes it too easy. What can I say? All right, we got the next one up. BPCF, Bethel Park Community Foundation. They got money for you and your group doing great things in Bethel Park, from $100 to $5,000. I think they gave out $130-some thousand last year, so had a great year giving people money and organizations. So check it out. Get an application from bpcf.org, and you can get some money for your group. Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense, but Uncle Al wants you for BPTV. Like we got Jack here tonight. I don't know if Zach made it in, but Devin Shea's here. They're running the soundboard, the cameras, commercials, you name it. I want you for BPTV. Give a call, 412-831-3304, and you can be working like Jack and Devin. We appreciate that. Next up, we have a sponsor for What's on Your Mind for Bethel Park. Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station. Runs a great operation. I was there Monday, had one of their best breakfasts they had. His dad, Butch, brought a bunch of different cheese, meat, and garlic. We had some garlic. I was eating that. Then we talked about Smoking Jim Frazier. Brought his car to get inspected at Skeets Service Station. They work on anything and everything that runs on gas, including Smoking Jim's car or whatever he's driving. Who knows? Skeets goes, doesn't he have a truck? I said, no, that died on him. I go, that's his car. He goes, I thought I inspected his mother's car. I go, I don't know what story my man was telling, but Skeets inspected it, fixed it up, and got it going. Give him a call, 724-348-4715. And we're going to start our show, since Skeet Service Station sponsors What's on Your Mind. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Coming at
you
you.
got to see Levine. The lights was in my eyes. I was still able to pull it in.
Where's your sunglasses?
You know what? I should have wore them
Because
today.
it's bright in here.
Yeah, it is a little bright in here. Thanks to my main man, the MVP, Devin Shea, is here. And hey, what I wanted to say, Al Levine, the talking machine. First of all, I want to welcome everybody to Black History Month. We waited a long
month is
time. February.
It's a whole year.
Yeah, one of my favorite months out of the year.
Thanks
Valentine's Day is
Hey,
this
thanks
month,
for
too.
wearing all black today, too.
Yeah, black and white. But
That's how simple this is.
you know, it's going to be hard to believe, but since I don't lie, I know most people will believe it. Last week I went 13-0. I've never gone 13-0 on my bets before. But I tell you what, I had a wise man tell me years ago, quitting while you're ahead is not the same as quitting. I'm on the worst losing streak of my career. I tell you what, and the Super Bowl was the worst. Al Levine, the talking machine.
Smoking Jim took the Rams in the over.
Oh my goodness. That's right, my man.
Hold
Little
it. The
Z's in
disclaimer.
house.
The disclaimer. Zach Taylor's in the house. He goes, Al Levine says every week the disclaimer is don't start betting. If you do bet the opposite of Smoking Jim Frazier and you win.
But
You'd have cleaned house.
I
Who
was-
told you guys? The Patriots.
You sure did. But
I hated to.
But anywho,
What are you getting to?
like I said,
What's your
I do
point
have
of this?
I do have to make note of one prediction that I made before the season. I did predict, and Chip will verify it, that I did predict that the Rams would go to the Super Bowl,
Oh, yeah.
and I predicted a wide receiver would win MVP of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it was Martavis Bryant, who is permanently banned from the NFL.
But what's on my mind?
That's such a
everybody?
far reach. It's unbelievable.
But hey, wide receiver won it, man. What's the chances, right?
Yeah,
We
he's
got Brady on the team
the PED MVP.
with his PED.
Performance enhancing drug.
Oh,
he got
yeah, that's
suspended
right. I forgot
for the
about
first
that.
4 games of the
That's
season.
right.
But that's what it takes to win.
Smoking Jim, he missed the whole year. Then he come back and they wouldn't let him play because of PED. Some people were upset because in baseball, then you can't play in the postseason.
Oh.
But football's different. You can
Yeah.
play in the postseason.
Cheating
So-
is not frowned upon in the NFL.
Well, baseball should take a page out of the NFL. But what's on my mind real quick is I have my top 10 college basketball players of all time.
Hold it, disclaimer again. This morning I'm looking at, I see, first of all, these sweeties for Jimmy. He posts up women's photos. Just post one. He posts 4 or 5. Then I see top 10, and I start counting. It was top 20. He stopped at 20. And then he left out Bob Cousy and some other legends, Bill Russell.
When did Bob Cousy play college ball? This
I
is
forget.
college basketball.
He was
right?
great in college.
I'm sure he was. I got to check with Eddie Jeffries on that.
You better give him a call. If Myron
yeah.
Cope were alive, you could call him. He'd know.
On Black History
Jim
Month,
O'Brien might know.
on Black History Month, I do have 2 white guys in the top 10, so that's pretty good. Here, number 10, Zion Williams, the chubby cheek guy from Duke, is the 10th all-time great. How about Phi Slamma Jamma at 9, the Clyde Drexler? How about, he got to be in the top 10, number 8, Michael Jordan in there, number 8. How about 7D, Artis Gilmore? No complaints there. How about 7C, Shaq? 7B, Elvin Hayes. Number 7, Bill Russell. I think he was a 3-time national champion at San Francisco. How about 6B, Stephen Curry? Got to be in there. How about 6, Earl the Pearl Monroe from Winston-Salem All-Black College. How about 5C, Dr. Duncanstein, Daryl Griffith, he got to be on there. How about 5B, Lynn Bias? Still think that
You already hit 10. That's it.
I still think the
That's
Celtics.
it.
That's
it.
I still think the Celtics should have
You hit
paid
10.
his family
You
a
hit
couple
10.
$1 million. How about 5? Kevin Durant. How about 4C? The Big O, Oscar Robinson. How about number 4B? Larry Bird, one of my favorite white players. How about number 4? Magic Johnson. How about number 3B? Bill Walton. How about number 3? David Thompson. I know you remember him, Chipper. How about number 2? Lou Alcindor. Some folks know him as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. How about number 1B? Pistol Pete Maravich.
That's another white guy.
That's right, 3 white guys. Pistol Pete averaged
I'm glad you
44
can't
points
count.
a game. I forgot. I don't even count Pistol Pete as white. He was so good. And how about number 1A? He plays at Murray State right now, the best I ever seen. 6'3", 175 pounds. Jay Moran. Jay Moran from Murray State. That would be my first draft pick if I had the first pick overall, even to hit a chubby Chiefs, Zion Williamson. And that's what's on my mind.
The only thing that could have made that list more ridiculous is if he would have put LeBron James in there.
He didn't play college ball.
Speaking of Phi Slamma Jamma, Hakeem Olajuwon, Ralph Sampson. These were not great college basketball
I
players.
can only put 10 in.
Yeah, 20.
Right. But you should put 10 that
All
actually
right.
accomplish something. Zion Williamson hasn't even played a full season. He's done nothing. Nothing.
Thanks, Smoking Jim, and a little assist by Chip there. Appreciate that. What's on your mind, Chip Hayner?
Well, very sad day in Pittsburgh Pirate Land. Sunday, one of the Pirates' all-time greats passed away, and I'd like to make a mention of Bob Friend, who pitched for the Pirates for, I believe, 14 years, maybe
Yeah.
15 years.
What a legend.
He died on Sunday, February 3rd. He was a right-handed starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. He pitched primarily for the Pirates from 1951 to 1965, joining the Yankees and the Mets in his final season of 1966. He is the first man to lead the league in ERA while pitching for a last-place team. So, not something of very much note, but still something to be remembered. He made his debut for the Pirates on April the 28th, 1951. His last Major League appearance was September 24th, 1966, for the New York Mets. His one-loss record was 197 wins and 230 losses. His career ERA was 3.57, 1,734 strikeouts, 4 times an All-Star, 1956, 1958, 1960. He was in the All-Star game twice. There was 2 All-Star games in 1960. He was a World Series champion in 1960. And I'll go into his experiences in that wonderful World Series of 1960. He was the Major League Baseball's wins leader in 1958. And in 1955, he was the ERA leader in the National League for a last-place Pittsburgh Pirates team. One of the things that's, I always find interesting about the pitchers of the older days is you think about some of his accomplishments, like pitching 274 innings with a 1.3 WHIP. Do you know what WHIP means?
I have no
A
idea.
WHIP stands for walks and hits per innings pitched. Anything that's close to 1 is good. Anything above 1.3 to to 2 is not very good. 277 innings pitched in 1957. 1958, he was third in the Cy Young Award, 274 innings. 1959, he went 8-19 with a 4.03 ERA. Placed second in the National League with 12 sacrifice hits. In 1960, Friend made the All-Star roster for the third time, leading the National League with 4.1 strikeouts per walk issued. Went 18-12. He was fifth in wins in the National League that year with a 3.0 ERA. His WHIP for that season was 1.128. 183 strikeouts over 257.2 innings. Of his National League third best 4 shutouts, his best was probably April 28th when he struck out 11, allowing 4 hits and a 3-0 win over the Philadelphia Phillies. The 95-59 Pittsburgh Pirates finished 7 games ahead of second-place Milwaukee for the National League pennant. The Pirates defeated the Yankees in the 1960 World Series in 7 games, which we all know, thanks to Bill Mazeroski. Of Pittsburgh's 3 losses, Friend was on the hook for 2 of them. He had it racking up an ERA of 13.5 over his 3 appearances. Well, considering your ERA is based on 9 innings pitched. So if you're giving up 13.5 runs in 9 innings of baseball, you're not winning many games. Wanted to make sure that we made note of his passing. He was a Pirate great, never came close to Hall of Fame stats, but he was always a reliable pitcher. He'd give you 270 to 300 innings a year, which there are starting pitchers on some major league rosters that haven't pitched 300 innings in 2 seasons. As a matter of fact, one of the high points in his career, he had 42 starts one season and 7 relief appearances.
Wow.
Okay, so, 42 starts. Now, this is back in the day where there was a 4-man pitching rotation, unlike today. And how many pitchers are in a rotation now? 5. So the most starts a pitcher can get in any given season is, if he pitches them all, is about 32. So 42 starts in a season, that's some longevity.
Not too shabby.
So Mr. Friend, rest in peace. And, my condolences to his family, but that's what's on my mind this week.
Can we not say whipped or Black History Month? But I tell you what, I've never heard
Why?
of Bob Friend. I never heard of Bob Friend.
You didn't follow baseball
but
till
when
you started
But
with
when
us.
when I pitched in Pony League, they used to always say, "You pitch like Friend." So I guess he was something. That was a compliment.
No, they were saying, you're my friend the way you pitch. That's what they were saying. Come on, give it to me, friend.
I had a fastball, boy.
It wasn't too fast, I heard.
I heard they timed it with a sundial.
And we've not heard one ever person from your Pony League days come forward and say they saw you play. Nobody. Hold it. There's crickets. Not one person during Black History Month or every month.
Alan, there was one person. It was my pretty pony.
Good point. I'm glad we got that clarified. Thanks again, Chip. And Smoky Jim, thanks for your wisdom again, whether it's Black History Month or not. I watched the whole Super Bowl.
You're a better man than I, Levine.
And I didn't fall asleep. Watched the whole halftime show. Watched my cousin Adam Levine strip down, take his shirt off, and dance around. Some guy named Big Boy, who's Smoking Jim's hero, he denied it tonight, was singing, and I don't know, he was wearing an animal on his back, and who knows what goes on. But it was one of the most boring games that I ever watched in Super Bowl history. And now, I don't mind defense, and Chip and I have talked about video game scores, and it was a little disappointing seeing all that firepower. Then what the heck is wrong with Todd Gurley?
What, do you mean having the highest paid running back in the league doesn't guarantee you victory?
Hold it, he didn't even run. He didn't even run. He was
somebody-
on the bench.
Did somebody memo of Le'Veon on that?
He was on the bench. There's the number 1 running back in the league. Didn't run worth anything, and I was shocked by that. Sean McVay, they're trying to get other guys that are like him for other teams, and he got outcoached by Belichick. They got beat, pretty badly, really, because they weren't in the game. How do you keep a team that averages 33 points a game? They were the 11th best offensive team in NFL history. They held them to 30 less points. Go figure. Brady didn't have a good game. But again, at the end of the game, instead of throwing like Big Ben does, overthrowing guys, he hit guys right in the hands. Unusual. He hit guys in the hands, completed enough passes to get a touchdown, and it wasn't exciting. I watched the game, watched the confetti fly, and I knew I should have painted my bathroom again because I could have just watched that dry too. That's what's on my mind. We'll be back with some fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hi, I'm Gary. I'm a recruiter for the 2020 census. And I want to talk about an opportunity that only comes along once every 10 years. It's a decennial census. And we're hiring hundreds of people. No testing involved, no resumes. To apply for these jobs, the website is 2020census.gov/jobs. It's great pay, flexible hours. The hours are great. You can work morning, evening, afternoons, whatever suits your schedule. And it's weekly pay, which is a great thing. And also there's paid training, and also we pay from the time you leave the house to the time you get home, along with mileage. Apply right now. Thank you so much. Again, 2020census.gov/jobs. Thank you for your time.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show, but in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. Thanks, Chip. My main man, Zach Taylor, my gateway brother, came on through. What is that? I can't see that score.
15-8.
Who's
Pitt.
winning? Pitt! Yes! Yes! All right. That's one down and 11 more to go.
No,
That means you lose.
that's 10
No, I
minutes. That's not even 10 minutes into
I
the
went on
game.
Pitt.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
playing Wake Forest.
Yeah. So, anywho, what's fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac is on Saturday. Me and Al Levine, the talking machine, will be doing some Golden Glove boxing. Can't wait. Talk to Jimmy Savetic today. He was excited and to get it started again.
How's his health?
He didn't sound real good on the phone.
Okay.
But anywho, I told you guys before, you guys asked about Todd Gurley. I said last few weeks, I said in that Kansas City game, I believe it was, somebody hit him so hard he lost, I think, his heart to play. He looks like he enters the game, he looks like, Michael Spinks when he got in the ring with Mike Tyson. So that's the problem with Gurley. He lost his courage, almost like Ickey Woods, who dominated the league as a rookie. In the Super Bowl, Ronnie Lott popped him. He lost his courage for the game after that. That's what Gurley's going through right now. Great Super Bowl commercials. I don't know if you guys seen it. I know you did, El. You watched the whole game. Chip, I hope you get a chance to see it. The Immaculate Reception with Franco and Bradshaw. That was a great commercial.
And who was missing? Antonio Brown. Juju was in that commercial.
Juju was in there. Juju was in the commercial.
No AB.
Yeah, Jim Brown. You got Barkley was in that commercial. I think Aaron Donald was in that commercial, but he was invisible in the Super Bowl. Aaron Donald looked like he was playing. He must have thought New England was Gateway because he was just as invisible as how he used to be in the Gateway game. He looked like a 2-star recruit in that Super Bowl, didn't he?
Don't you think? This is just an observation that in today's NFL, that if you hold a team to 13 points, wouldn't you consider that team to have played good defense?
I would, but I would like for my defensive two-time NFL defensive MVP to make a appearance. But anywho,
Hey, he didn't get a penalty when he tossed Brady to the ground. How'd that happen?
Yeah, at least he did
They
something.
looked the other way.
Yeah, at least he did something.
I
That's
was
out of
shocked by that.
Maybe that's out of frustration.
Wish he would have done the same thing to Bradshaw in that commercial.
That's cool. But hey, what's on my mind is congratulations to a friend of mine that made the NFL Hall of Fame, Ty Law. And I don't know if Ty's going to go in as New England, the Jets, Kansas City,
New
or
England.
Denver. New England. 53 career interceptions. And I tell you what, Ty Law, the best thing that ever happened to Ty Law, who's from Malaquippa, the best thing that ever happened to him was he was a young running back up through midget league football and junior high, wanted to be the next Tony Dorsett, who's faking CTE. And but Ty Law ended up getting beat out his junior year by a super sophomore running back named Chico Williams. Chico Williams went on to be the first runner in WPIL history to run for 5,000 career yards. So they made Ty Law focused on defensive back. Ty Law made it into the Hall of Fame. I think he could have made it a little bit earlier, but a few legal problems probably kept the voters a little bit away from voting him in. But Ty Law, in my opinion, is the greatest defensive back in Aliquippa history, even better than Revis Allen. And that's what's on my mind. Congratulations, Ty.
Thank you, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Okay. Hi, Al. There you go. Hey, good evening, everybody. And it's now that football season's over with. And oh, by the way, Jim, did I mention to you? The Super Bowl ratings were the lowest that they've been in 12 years.
Wow.
For this year, for this season's game. So, guess I'm not the only one who's getting a little fed up with the way the NFL does things.
Too many white guys on New England.
No,
Ratings
here's-
went
no,
down.
here's
Nobody
what
want
the-
to see that.
Somebody got the word out to the referees, and they made sure that the referees didn't influence the game. They didn't call any penalties. So that way, if you don't call a penalty and it gets reviewed, it can't be reversed because there was no call. So that's their catch-22.
Good point,
Worked
Chip.
out very well. We'll see what happens for next year. But 1 week from today, pitchers and catchers report
Whoa.
to Bradenton. And yes, Jim, once again, spring is on its way.
Paint dry.
And baseball is ready to bloom. And I just wanted to kind of go over, and I'm just going to try to do a brief synopsis, not go into great detail, about the history of the Pittsburgh Pirates, because I've done this before, and it's been quite some time. The Pittsburgh Pirates became part of Major League Baseball in 1877. They were called the Pittsburgh Alleghenies. They were the first American Association team to switch to the older National League. And you know, in the National League, they call that the senior circuit, correct? And at the time, William Nimick, club president, and Horace Williams was the manager. In those early days, the club benefited 3 times from mergers with defunct clubs. The Double-A club picked up a number of players from the defunct Columbus team in 1885. The Alleghenies were severely crippled in the 1890 season when nearly all their stars jumped to the Pittsburgh Burgers of the Players
Whoa.
League. With a decimated roster, the team experienced what is the worst season in franchise history, going 23-113. The battle nearly ruined McKnight, who he was forced to return his franchise to the league. However, almost immediately after this, McKnight joined the backers of the Burghers as a minority owner and then repurchased the Pittsburgh National League franchise and rechartered it under a different corporate name. They were thus able to legally recover the services of most of the players who had jumped to the upstart league a year earlier. So they got their name from although the Alleghenies were never found guilty of wrongdoing, they were made sport of being denounced for being piratical by renaming themselves the Pirates for the 1891 season, the nickname first acknowledged on the team's uniforms in 1912. Bolstered by, from 1901 to 1945, bolstered by a former Louisville Colonials shortstop who was a Carnegie product named Honus Wagner. The Pirates completely dominated the league in part because they lost few star players to the rival American League. However, owing to injuries to their starting pitchers, they lost the first World Series ever played in 1903 to the Boston, what are they called?
Red Stockings?
They were called the Boston Americans, I believe is what they were called. Deacon Felipe pitched 5 complete games, winning 3 of them, but it was not enough. The Pirates originally played in Recreation Union and Exposition Parks. Exposition Park is down on the North Shore. There is a plaque commemorating where its location was.
I'd like to see it.
Right?
It's in the parking lot.
It's in the parking lot, Jim.
Look around.
The decline of Honus Wagner, considered by many to be the greatest shortstop ever, led to a number of losing seasons, culminating in a disastrous 51-103 record in 1917. So we fast forward where the Pirates eventually made their way back to the World Series, winning the World Series in 1925, and then making it to the World Series in 1927, only to lose to probably the greatest team of all time. They called that lineup Murderers Row. It was the Babe Ruth-led New York Yankees in 1927. Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth were the centerpieces of that team. The Pirates were swept in 4 games by the 27 Yankees. The 20 was the first for a sharp-hitting combination of brothers named Lloyd and Paul Wainer. They were nicknamed Big and Little Poison, who, along with shortstop Archie Vaughan, ensured the Pirates had plenty of Hall of Fame caliber position players through till 1941. 1946 to 57, the post-World War II era was not very kind to the Pittsburgh Pirates. The only thing that brought people into the stands was a genuine star named Ralph Kiner. Led the league in home runs 7 years in a row.
Wow.
And that led Branch Rickey to say to him when he came for a contract extension, he said, "We can lose 100 games without you." So they didn't sign him, and off he went.
Common sense.
I mean, it's mathematics. So he ended up with 306 homers, 1,258 hits. No, that was Hank Greenberg. But so the Pirates pretty much stuck the joint up, and during the 50s, Pirates ownership decided to go with a bunch of young players, unproven players.
Go figure.
Sounds familiar?
Yeah, they're letting Connor go.
Yeah, well, they developed some great players: Vernon Law, Bob Friend, Elroy Face, Dick Grote, Bill Mazeroski, and especially the great one, Roberto Clemente, drafted from Brooklyn after his only minor league system in 1954, would form the nucleus of the Pirates' 1960 championship clubs. Moreover, as in St. Louis and Brooklyn, Rickey put into place one of baseball's most successful farm and scouting systems, keeping the Pirates competitive into the late 70s. Alan and I both know this well. The Pirates of the 60s and the Pirates of the 70s were great teams to watch. They were in contention every year. They used to call the Pirates of the 70s the Pittsburgh Lumber Company.
Who was better, them or Cincinnati?
In the 70s? Probably, what I would say would be the best team of the 70s, would have to have been the Oakland A's. They won 3 championships in a row prior to.
I can agree with
The
you
Reds.
there. Reds were a good team.
Reds were a good team, no doubt about it. 75 and 76 teams.
They had one guy that sucked.
love
He's
my-
not going to be in the Hall of Fame,
I
and he
love
hit
my big
he hit the
red
most
machine.
he hit the most hits anybody ever will hit in the Major League Baseball. But he's still not going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Not ever.
And that's Smoking Jim and many others' heroes.
So, 1970 to 79, the Pirates moved to that concrete palace on the North Shore from beloved Forbes Field, which was in downtown Oakland, to Three Rivers Stadium. And slugger Willie Bestargel became a fixture for the Pirates lineup in the late 60s, and the Pirates returned to prominence in 1970. Danny Murtaugh returned as manager, and the Pirates' home field of Forbes Field was demolished. And one of the things that I do feel is a big injustice. I think a manager that is very well deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. I believe Danny Murtaugh should be in the Hall of Fame, and so do his former players. I remember one night here on our show, Alan we were interviewing Al Oliver on the telephone, and I asked him about his former coach. And Danny Murtaugh took the Pirates to 2 World Series, 1960,
Can't
1971.
put everybody in.
Well,
That's why Cowher won't be in.
he's certainly worthy. On September 1st, 1971, the Pirates made Major League Baseball history by fielding the first all-black / minority starting lineup. Second baseman Rennie Stennett, center fielder Gene
Hey,
Klein.
Chip, thanks for your contribution to Black History Month.
Yes!
Oh, you
Because
know,
Smoking Jim hasn't given us anything.
Jim doesn't ever give me any credit, but that's okay.
No, I wanted to give you credit there because he missed it.
Center fielder Gene Kleins, right fielder Roberto Clemente, left fielder Willie Stargell, catcher Manny Sanguian,
Wow.
third baseman Dave Cash, first baseman Al Scoops Oliver, shortstop Jackie Hernandez, and Doc Ellis on the mound. Manager Danny Murtaugh never hesitated using minority players in his lineup, but even the players took notice when he posted the lineup. Steve Blass, that he recalled, the thing I remembered about it when he was interviewed afterwards, Murtaugh said, I put the 9 best athletes out there. The best 9 I put out there tonight happened to be back. No big deal. Next question. You gotta love the guy, right?
Put him in the Hall of Fame.
No,
I want him in
yeah.
now.
Now we're putting him in the Hall of
I
Fame.
knew Smoking Jim could come aboard.
The Pirates,
Welcome aboard.
the late 70s culminated in the Pirates' 5th World Championship, 1979. And then the wheels started falling off the franchise at that point. The Galbraiths started looking to sell. After 3 world titles and 6 division titles since 1948, the Galbraiths began listening to offers to sell their franchise. A group by Edward J. Lewis of Oxford Development and Eddie DeBartolo Sr. made a serious offer to purchase the team in '81. Then there was the unfortunate Pittsburgh drug trials of the mid-'80s, followed by the 1986 to 1996 Jim Leland era, who brought the Pirates back to prominence, who won 3 consecutive division titles, 1990, 1991, 1992. Unfortunately, because of a certain left fielder with a lollipop of a left arm, couldn't throw out slow-footed Sid Bream. The Pirates didn't make it to the World Series in any of those years.
The Sid Bream curse. Because they backstabbed Sid Bream the year before they got rid of him.
Well,
Well, he was a Pirate. They
that's
didn't
the way-
sign him.
So then there was the Dark Ages from 1996 to 2010. 20 consecutive losing seasons, and out of those 20 consecutive losing seasons sprung PNC Park,
Will that
which
record
truly
ever get
is a
broken?
jewel of baseball stadiums in the United States. And the Pirates came back to prominence in 2011 once Clint Hurdle was hired. 3 consecutive playoff seasons. Pirates came up short again. And once again, the Pirates' arrow is pointing up. So there you go. A brief history of the Pittsburgh Pirates. You were going to say.
One question. Do you think that the 20-year losing streak will ever be broken? That's in the Guinness Book of World Records. But will it ever be broken?
You know what?
I
That
don't
is a
think.
record that can be broken.
But I give credit to the fans of Pittsburgh because I think most teams would have lost their franchise, which 20 straight losing seasons. But the Pittsburgh Pirate fans, they kept Pittsburgh here. They kept the Pirates in Pittsburgh, even though they
You
was
know, Jim,
losers.
I have never stopped rooting for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I am still, to this day, a season ticket holder, and will continue to remain so.
I was rooting for 21.
We
I know
that.
you were. That's no
Hey,
that's no
Chip,
surprise. Yes,
One
Alan.
thing I noticed is you didn't really tell us who the owners were from the beginning. You know, a couple mentions here and there. Like my thing growing up, I just cared about the team on the field because they provided, like you had said, good players and things.
So you know what else I didn't include? How much the players got paid. Because
That's the other thing.
what the ownership spends on the roster, to me, is irrelevant. What matters to me is what happens between the white lines. It's the performance
Well,
of
that's
the
why I wanted
players
to
on
bring
the
that
field.
up. It's
And
about
I'm
the
very
field.
glad you did, and it does. But you know, the local social media and the radio talk shows, they want to consistently bring up the fact that somehow railing about what money is spent on the roster has anything, you know.
Influence.
No, you know that's not going to change. But you know what? If people take the time to notice, we've got a lot of good young ball players on this team. Last year, even though people stayed away in droves, was one of the most enjoyable years that I've had at PNC Park. Saw a lot of great baseball, saw a lot of young players develop, and
Didn't they have a winning season last year?
Oh, yes, they did.
Can I ask you guys
One
a
other
question?
thing. Keep an eye out for Eric Gonzalez this year. He will be the starting shortstop.
All right, we'll keep an eye out.
Can I ask you guys a question before
No.
we go to Al Levine, the talking machine? A lot of people nationally are saying that Edelman will not make the Hall of Fame because he only got 400-something catches and there's guys over
That's true.
1,000 catches. I think he's a Hall of Famer because it's not the amount of catches, it's the moments. As far as playoffs go, he's one of the top guys ever in the playoff number of catches, and it's the moment. Lynn Swann didn't have that many catches, but the moments is what made him a Hall of Fame. I think Edelman's a Hall of Famer. I forgot about the PED. I'm not sure about
I
that.
disagree
That's gonna keep
100%.
him out.
Smoking Jim, I disagree.
here is what I have
100%.
a very hard time trying to understand.
Uh-huh.
A player plays his entire career,
Yeah.
and he puts out his body of work.
Okay.
And then you evaluate the player's body of work as to whether you feel he was worthy of being considered for the Hall of Fame. How do you determine when a guy isn't even halfway through his career if he is going to be a Hall of Famer? I mean, I think one of the bigger problems that the Pittsburgh Steelers have right now, and there are a laundry list of them, is that everybody's got it into their quarterback's head that he's a Hall of Famer,
He is.
and that he can do things that, you know, the rules don't apply to him. He can say what he wants, do what he wants, and treat players any way he wants. And I think it has negatively affected the team. You know what? When his career's over, 5 years, we'll see if he gets
You
elected.
know what would straighten Big Ben out? McCarthy.
Well, yeah, but how come none of the teams that had young quarterbacks? Why did the Jets, who hired a quarterback in the top, 2 or 3 in the draft last year, why did they take Adam Gase, who was a losing coach in Miami, to be their head coach when Mike McCarthy was available?
Because they don't want a coach that won 135 games, one of the winningest coaches in NFL history.
Maybe Mike McCarthy's damaged goods.
Whoa! What
Bite your tongue talking about the Irish like that.
We'll have to have that conversation another day.
Just saying.
Smoking Jim Frazier in rare form. But thank you, Chip Hayner. Appreciate it. All right. Guess what? We've been off for 2 months, December and January. Next Monday, we'll be back for our return at Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Claudio Rosano, CMU head coach of baseball, will be there. Daryl Sammartino will be there. Bruno Sammartino's son, Larry Richard of KDKA, will be there. We got a wrestler, Sam Adonis. Mario Tempest called me up, see if we can get him on. Jake Clancher does scouting for young kids in hockey. I don't know who else I missed, but yeah, we got a great show, great lineup for you. Come on out. Smoking Jim will be in rarest form after he tells you how he did with 12 bets. Can't wait. All right, we'll talk some Pens when we come back. Don't change that dial.
I brought out a show on the radio about 5 or 6 years ago to try to share a lot of the information that I run across on a weekly basis with clients, and to share those experiences and the knowledge gained from other people's either mistakes or the correct decisions they've made and their successes, and to try to share that with the community so more people could benefit. So we came over and met Dave, and it was real easy. He said, there you go, are you ready? We're very lucky to have this and the resources over here, where it would be quite expensive to try to produce a show like this elsewhere. Bethel Park TV is offering it to all of us. I hope this grows a lot, and I hope a lot more people do take advantage of this. You're missing out on a marvelous opportunity if you don't. It's really a free gift for you to be able to share yourself and your experiences and what your value is with others at low to no risk. Anyone who's considering doing a show, come on out of your shell. Come on over here. Dave's very gentle, very nice. He'll help guide you through this. If you make mistakes, he'll edit it out and record it over, so don't worry about saying something wrong. Just come over and share what you have with others. Just be yourself, come over here and let other people see who you are, why you're here, and who you're trying to help and what you're trying to say. It is that easy.
Hey, it's Christine from Bethel Park Library. I want to tell you about a great fundraiser we have going on. You can take home a print of this cute sloth, painted by local artist Maria Prasic, was inspired by Vivian, the sloth that lives at the National Aviary. The original painting will be housed at the Bethel Park Library forevermore, but you can own a 16 by 20 print for $50. You can purchase it at the Bethel Park Public Library or through the library's website at bethelparklibrary.org.
Welcome back. Pittsburgh Penguins are playing tonight. They made a Rutherford come through with a trade. I can't pronounce McCann's one guy, Bujestad or something.
Bujestad or something.
Bujestad or something come in. First game got a goal. Second game got a goal. He had more rapport with Kessel than Brassard did the whole time he was here.
Well,
So I'm hopeful.
The Derek Brassard at the time was a blockbuster trade, but Derek Brassard did not fill the role that he was brought to Pittsburgh to be.
Obviously.
He was used to being in the top six, and he was brought in as a third-line center, and that's all he was ever going to be. And he just did not fit in well. They tried a lot of different combinations of people to work with him, but it was obvious he wasn't happy here. And
He didn't look
fortunately, one thing I got to admire about Mike Rutherford, when he pulls a trade and he knows it's not right, he's the first person to admit he made a mistake.
Sure.
And he traded him. The two young players that he got are younger than Derek Brassard, and we still have control over them for at least 2 to 3 years.
Couple years, yeah.
So that's the one thing that the Penguins Stanley Cup winning teams of 16 and 17.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I think made them such good teams was not so much their stars, but it was the role players. People like Nick Bonino and Carl Hagelin And
They did
and,
well.
You know,
And Fleury.
these players were
He
the
wasn't a
ones
role
that
player.
you need the muckers, you need the grinders, you need the guys that are going to be the grit guys. You know, and they complement your superstars.
True.
And because the superstars can't do it all on their own because they get double teamed, they can be shut down. So, we'll see how these young guys do. But if there's one thing that's been true about the Penguins this year, they've been wildly inconsistent. We watched them one week against the worst team in the league, and they get blown out by the
Yeah.
Islanders. They get blown out by the Islanders. They play the best team in the league by leaps and bounds, and they completely
them easily.
They jumped all over them the first period. They
They're
shut
winning
down
3-0.
Tampa Bay. Then they beat Ottawa on Friday night, and then they go and lose to Toronto on Saturday.
Yeah.
So there's just it's the hot and cold. And as a matter of fact, I heard that Sunday morning at practice, that Mount Sullivan erupted on the players in practice, and there was some unflattering things he had to say about some people on the ice. But it's about time that he did. I mean, these guys cannot keep sleepwalking. They've got to be more consistent. They got to bring their game night in and night out. Everybody keeps on saying about hockey, oh, well, they don't really start playing until March or April. But all the games that you lost
They count.
they count. One of the things I heard Mike Rutherford say was that there's at least 6 or 7 games that they just simply gave away this year. And you know what? Is
That's
there
a
any
lot.
other team in the league that could give away 7 wins and still have a chance to make the playoffs? I
No.
don't think there is.
This is one of the few teams that they turn the switch on to go, but it's been off and on.
Right.
That's the problem. Malkin's been in a funk since after the first month of the season. He's injured right now, so in a way, it's good that he's injured, so he's not playing and he's not, having
He's
problems.
been frustrated all season, but and you have to wonder about Evgeny, because one of the flaws in his game is he retaliates, and he does some things that punching an
mad
opposing
Russian.
player in the head repeatedly with no gloves on your hand. What is he thinking?
He's not.
Exactly. He's not thinking. Now he's out. He's got a hand injury, and how long is it going to keep him out?
We've all been there.
Not all of us. Smoking Jim practices this, but
I'm a lover, not a fighter, Jim.
Yeah, right.
we'll talk about that after the show. But thanks for your wisdom, Smoking Jim. We appreciate that. I don't know how it solves the problem with the lack of scoring by Malkin, but
No, he's having an extremely frustrating year. And it seems that one of the things that has been a problem with Evgeny throughout his career is he doesn't shoot the puck enough.
Yeah.
I mean, and you still hear Rutherford talking about we are trying to make the perfect pass to set up the picture-perfect goal.
Penguins have been
And
like that for a
they
while.
have been like this forever, and I don't know what it's going to take to get players to understand. You just need to put the puck on the net, crash the net. Hey,
Get a gritty goal.
A rebound goal. I don't care as long as it rings the lamp. Whether it's a highlight goal or not, a goal's a goal. Score them any way you can.
Gotta agree with you there. So hopefully they'll get a win tonight, get back on the winning streak.
Oh, they were down to Carolina. End of the first period, Carolina's up 1-0. Certainly not an insurmountable lead. But
we've been down before.
Yeah, we've been down before. But consistency is the thing we need to look for in this team right now.
No, it'll come back. I think we can do it. I'm optimistic. I've been that way the last couple of years. If not, we'll get a new coach. It'll take the place of Sullivan, and they'll be fine.
And that's and the thing is, with the consistency is when you get into a 7-game series in the playoffs, you can't afford to be taking nights off.
You got to play
because
60 minutes. That's the
You
other
got
thing.
to play
They're not
60
playing
minutes,
60
and you got to
minutes.
play every single game like it's going to be your last. And I think they're getting at the point now where that's the way they've got to play each and every game. 'Cause
Yeah.
They need every point they can at
Can
this
we get
point.
somebody to break the curse? That's what we need. Or the new coach,
No.
can he break the curse?
No, it's sort
That's
of
what
like
we
the
need.
Rooneys and the curse that they have. The first 40 years they had a franchise, Art Rooney Sr. was the lovable, laughable owner. What was the saying? Same old Steelers?
Now the lovable losers.
Yeah.
The
They
lovable
could fight, and they'd beat you up, but they'd lose the game.
But then came Charles Henry Knoll, and the cornerstone.
And then came
Joe Green.
And then came Santonio Holmes that put the curse on him when they backstabbed him out of town.
How did he put the curse on?
Sid Bream put the curse on the Pirates, and now
How did he put the curse on 'em?
Fleury got the curse on the Penguins. It's
Bream
fact.
never put a curse on anybody. It's guys like yourself who are Johnny-come-latelys to the sport, never watched it, never saw it, and they go, oh, they lost. There must be a reason. I'll blame Sid.
It's
I'll
a
blame
curse.
Santonio.
They backstabbed
I'll
the guy.
blame Art Rooney.
They
for
made
the,
a promise to Sid Bream that they would bring him back, and they didn't. The
They
franchise
never
is
made that.
cursed.
They never
Yeah,
made that promise to him.
yeah,
no,
they
they
did.
didn't. One thing Jim Leland was, he was brutally honest with his players.
He's not the
Ask
owner.
any of the guys.
He wasn't a GM and the
but
owner.
the manager
promised.
decides who's going to get traded or not.
Well,
They
the
just
curse
couldn't
is-
work it
the
out.
curse is on, and Jim Leland got out of town and went to Florida to win because he
No,
knew he wasn't
no.
going to win here with that curse.
You know, what had nothing to do with the curse. Had everything to do with the fact they didn't have the money to pay the players.
How about the Santonio Holmes curse?
What?
that isn't even real.
He got cursed. He cursed the Steelers because he got
Shake and bake.
He got arrested for smoking dope in the north side, in the Hill District, and still got to play. Is that
I said then, the
is that
Steelers-
stabbing him in the back?
I
Please,
said then the
enlighten me.
Steelers would never win another Super Bowl after they did Santonio Holmes wrong.
No.
And I said last year the Penguins would never win a Stanley Cup.
So
after
did
they
you hear
Fury
the
wrong.
interesting things that we're going to talk the scuttlebutt going around at the Super Bowl? People in the know, of course, nobody ever puts the name onto the source.
Yeah.
That's true.
But people in the know said that right now, best they could hope to get for Antonio Brown, 6th-round draft pick. And if they were lucky, maybe a 4th-round draft pick, but more than likely a 6th-round draft pick and a conditional pick in 2020.
Well,
They're just going to cut him.
He's going to be on the team playing next year. Mark my words.
Yeah.
I said that from Jump Street that he would be back.
I think he'll
but
be
when
back.
And
everybody
now
said
there's
he'd be
now
gone,
there's grumblings
but they would get a first round
that
for
the
him.
Steelers may transition tag Le'Veon Bell.
Well,
That
they had
ain't gonna
always
happen.
talked about possibly
Ain't allowed
doing
to do
that.
that.
And
not
other
allowed
than
to do
that,
that.
the New York Jets have made it known that they are not going to break the bank.
It only takes one
Sign
team.
Le'Veon.
Only takes one team.
You know, people are looking about how these players that create drama all around them all the time, what that does to a really good football team. No better example than on the North Shore this year.
Like Joe Namath.
What happened to Joe Namath?
I mean, players are flamboyant. Always in the. It's because New England's winning now because of Brady. It's always been the
9
league
times to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's great. But the league has always had the good and the bad. The Oakland Raiders won for years. There was not a more
that many
dysfunctional franchise than that. So,
Maybe
You
they
gonna
have
win.
a curse against them.
huh?
What's their curse?
They'll be back.
No. What's their
It's
curse?
the Vegas curse.
Smoking Jim finds all these curses. I still have him investigating the Art Rooney curse. He
yeah.
hasn't found one thing.
I still haven't heard about the Martavis Bryant curse because we stabbed him in the back. But he may never play in the NFL again.
Well, we only got about 20 seconds to go. I want to thank all of you for watching and putting up with some of this nonsense at the end. Thanks again, and please stay Joey strong.